Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 8th episode of Reactionary Opinions. We're all here. The boys are here. Cheers, lads.
Cheers.
We've got some good Tafel beer and everything. We're cheersing to some bad and good news in the elections. A couple of good things happened. So today we're going to be discussing the results of the elections. So this is our election special. Welcome, guys. It's Saturday, the 11th of May.
Yeah, we're spending our Saturday evening talking about elections once they're over already. Once the dust is settled, we're busy. We're scratching the dust.
And for any of you who may be in the United States, no, you are not caught into a time warp vortex. And this is not 2020 in the USA. We're talking, of course, about the 2019 South African national elections.
Yes, but mind you, Dylan, we will be doing an election special when Trump wins in 2020 again.
That's right.
Yes.
I'm sure we will.
We will.
He's going to win by default because no one can stand against.
He's going to win bigly. My money's on him winning bigly.
Totally bigly.
Totally bigly.
Yeah.
Tremendously.
So, gents, I think what we should do is we should just sort of brush through the results of the elections. I think it's common knowledge now. Most people that are following the elections already know the results. And then what we're going to do is we want to sort of compare those results to the past elections in 2014. And then we'll sort of run through the big winners in the elections, the big losers, and the small and exciting wins as well, I guess, because there were a few of them.
Yeah.
So obviously, as most of our listeners would know, the ANC undoubtedly, obviously took the elections, and they are obviously going to be the ruling party
Yet again.
But I mean, we all knew this. It's not like we expected the amazing,
Saint Cyril to come to the rescue.
Saint Cyril to sort everything out. But what we also didn't expect is for former part-time model and professional bureaucrat Musima Imane to even be able to scrape any numbers over their previous results.
Okay, here's the ominous claim as the first leader of the Democratic Alliance to preside over a declining percentage in an election.
But Russell, don't vote for a small party because you're wasting your vote. I say it again, the Democratic Alliance is such a loser party that they're celebrating losing votes.
Total losers.
Total losers. Just losers.
Well, I saw a tweet from, there's a tweet out there I saw somewhere that Helen Ziller is basically saying, they're spinning this one, There's just no way you can spin it. It was a disaster. She basically is quite honest. It's an absolute disaster.
Oh, well, there's no way that you can spin it as a victory or in any way, shape, or form.
No, not at all.
So, in a nutshell, let's look at the national results. The ANC wins by a majority of 57.50%. That's a total of 10,026,475 votes. Okay, that's a crazy amount of votes. The DA comes in at a sheepish second place at 20.77%, and the big winners this election is the EFF, unfortunately, at coming in at 10.79%.
Correct.
I knew that the EFF were going to do a lot better. I mean, I expected them actually to do a little bit better than that.
Well, look, I mean, I expected the EFF. I was actually, in a sort of way, in a roundabout way, they predicted most of the polls had them at 10 to 12%. They came in just under 11. But I was predicting, no, EFF, with the amount of traction that they've had in the media, the amount of time that media time that they get and ability to present their case in the media, in the news, all this sort of thing. They've almost done, they've increased their voter base by 60-odd%. But with all that free stuff in the media, I mean, I was expecting them to get here 15%.
Yeah. So the DA 3,600,000 votes. And the EFF 1.8 million, more or less. Yes, I don't know about you guys, but I'm actually pretty stoked about the IFP. I think they did pretty well.
They did. Looking here, in previous elections, Inkatha Freedom Party was at 2.4%, and now they're at about 3.4%.
Yeah.
So they went up a whole percentage point
Yeah.
from a fairly low base to begin with. But in terms of percentage increase, that's pretty good.
If you consider specifically that the IFP again is one of those parties that in between elections is nowhere.
Yeah.
Like they don't campaign, they don't have much media coverage.
Very little.
They're not much in the spotlight and stuff, so they have done really well. For me, my personal big victory is the Freedom Front Plus. I think they did exceptionally well.
Yeah.
This is their biggest result since 1994 under General Constant Viljoen. Okay. They got. I think they
more. Just
they got
percentage.
More,
As a percentage more, about the same as they did in 1994, but as a percentage a bit
in terms
more.
of a percentage of a vote. Before this election in 2014, Freedom Front Plus was at 0.9%. Now they're at about 2.4%.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's a huge increase in one election cycle for them.
And from voter counts, I think they got 160,000 votes in 2014. Now they got 414,000 votes,
400,000.
which is from voter counts. That's a massive amount of support. Spineless ACDP, 146,000.
Well, look, put it this way: the ACDP and the Vryheidsfront, they didn't have to actually do much. The DA gave them all those votes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to tell the DA, but look, the DA gave them those votes. They did everything possible the last year to give those votes to the ACDP and the Vryheidsfront.
Well, I will say this, Russell. I will say this. Even though let's assume that the DA was a strong party and took strong stances on policies. Let's assume that. I don't think that the ACDP would have even got 70 or 80,000 votes.
Yeah, they would have struggled to get over 80,000.
They would have struggled to get over 80, maybe 100. I mean, at a long shot.
Max.
But they basically coined a lot of the DA's Christian voters.
Yeah.
The Freedom Front Plus, I think they would have done mildly better because of the situation in South Africa and because they take a strong stance against EWC and land expropriation, and they take a strong stance on things like free markets and all of that as well, which is, I think that's for them a winning point, specifically them being one of the few parliament or parties that were in parliament that actually took a stand against those things.
No, well, look, a party like the one advantage that the Vryheidsfront has got is they're less likely to get involved in deal making. I can account for even the ACDP the last few years got involved in deal making. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. There's too much of that going in Parliament. In other words, you must pour your vote out to this party for them to make deals with the devil.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what the Vryheidsfront has done, they said, right, here's our block. This is what we stand for. Vote for us, don't vote for us, but we will deliver on this.
Yeah, they built on their base. That's
Correct.
it, because they took a strong stance on their policies.
They set themselves apart from everybody.
Well, Russell, it's the same as that age-old saying: if you stick to your beliefs or your morals and stuff, people will give you their respect.
Over time, yes, correct.
Stick to it, and you earn respect. Flake around like the DA did. Sorry, ain't nobody going to respect you then. Except for obviously the mindless NPC South African voters, which there are plenty of.
There's a lot of them. Yeah, and one thing that I thought was interesting was Cope just cratered votes. A lot of people were expecting them to
have a resurgence.
Yeah, to have a resurgence, because in 2009 they had about 7.5% of the electorate almost. 2014 that went down to 0.7, and now they're at 0.27 percentage.
Yeah.
You know, that's not good. I mean, freaking what was it? The Good Party was started a number of months ago, and they got more votes than Cope did. Right?
Well,
So,
it's like we say.
And also, you must remember, bear in mind as well, over the last year or two, Lekota and the Cope has had a fair amount of traction in the media as well.
yeah. And
They've
then-
actually had a fair amount of traction in the media.
Russell, I'll tell you what the problem is with Cope. Okay, is that low level Lakota, low energy Lakota. Sorry, low energy Lakota needs to give up the reins now.
Yeah.
It's like the same as what happens with the ACDP. They had that same oak. What is his name?
They've still got Kenneth, and he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, Kenneth Meshwe.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere. He's been there since 1993 when the party was formed, and he's still hanging around there.
No, they need to give up the reins. It's just absolute ridiculous.
Lethargic.
You'd swear that parties like Cope and ACDP and stuff believe in absolute monarchy when it comes to leaders of the parties. It's just
and the thing too
crazy.
is, if you think about it, what appeal did Cope have this election? People who are worried about land expropriation, they just voted for Freedom Front Plus.
Exactly. Yeah.
And people who have more of a were more inclined to vote for the more traditional African party. They went for Inkatha or even the EFF. I think the EFF, though, might have... I don't see them getting a lot more support than they currently have in the next election, because I think there's a ceiling to their appeal.
Well, what more can they actually bring to the table?
Yeah.
What more can they really bring to the table?
Yeah.
And that's the first thing. The second thing is that there's also now, I don't know, that party can't actually rule anything because their internal, they're not very professional internally. If they have an election conference, it's a complete hell show. It's like demons.
Dog show.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Julius Malema, at some of his conferences, has had to have an armed escort out of there. I kid you not. Not a joke. It's not a joke. Now imagine them, they're trying to govern an area. They don't have anything more to offer the electorate. Their ability to govern, because they're a cult, a personality cult. All right, really.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And I think, and also somebody also mentioned to me, all right, most. If you speak to your average black guy, all right, he'll tell you, and I'll say, why do people vote EFF? What I've heard, and I've asked a few, well, the reason why is because it's not the ANC. No real dedication to the for the policy or anything. It's just basically they don't like the current ANC or something like that. Yeah.
So by the current ANC, you mean like
basically what's historically the Zuma is now Ramaphosa ANC. They're actually just voting EFF because it's not ANC.
It's shocking.
The one interesting...
I'm not saying that's now a research, something that can be used, but that's what I've heard.
No, I think that's true. A lot of people... votes for the EFF, I think, are to a certain extent a protest vote. But they did do pretty good for themselves in this election. There's no denying that. They are now the official opposition party in 3 provinces.
Correct.
They're the second biggest party in Northwest, Mpumalanga, and Limpopo.
Yeah. Well, haven't they always been the second biggest in Limpopo?
I'm not sure.
I'm not 100% sure of that.
I'm not sure.
For a long time, they've been in 1 or 2 provinces. I don't know. I could be mistaken. But anyway, you're right.
They're definitely now for sure, they're certainly the biggest opposition party in those 3 provinces. Inkatha is now the second biggest opposition party, or the second biggest party, official opposition party in KZN, KwaZulu-Natal.
Mm-hmm.
Was that previously held by the DA before this election? Do you guys know?
No, I don't think it was.
No, I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think, what do you mean, the opposition side?
Yeah.
Possibly.
It was DA, yeah.
Okay.
But, I was looking at the map of Inkatha Freedom Party. The heartland of Zululand is still very Inkatha-like. If you look at those voting districts.
Yeah, he has a map over here.
Yeah, you see the red there.
So this was 2014.
Mm-hmm.
This is all
That's
IFP.
proper Zululand there.
This is IFP. So this whole red area over here is
right in the middle of the
IFP.
province.
That's where they got more than 50% of the vote.
Yeah. The ANC smashed last year.
Yeah, they would have.
Or last elections. But the ANC dropped, 10 percentage points.
Yeah, they lost a lot of votes. EFF did really well in KZN, surprisingly.
Mm-hmm.
I was a bit surprised by how well they did there, but even there, it's not more than 10%. So
Another big loss by the Don't Vote for a Small Party was in the Western Cape.
yeah.
They lost almost, I think it was 4% or something.
What would be interesting about the DA's results, if you have a look there, you look at the provincial vote, the vote on the provincial ballot, they got 55%. But if you look at the national ballot in the Western Cape, they only got 52%. So people actually split their vote. They voted for the DA provincially, and either probably the Vryheidsfront or ACDP nationally. So for some reason,
people don't have trust, don't have faith in the DA actually ever.
Well, they don't have.
They're just too scared to lose for the DA to lose the Western Cape.
That stopped the ANC and EFF in the Western Cape probably worked.
Yeah, it definitely worked. Obviously, it worked because here's the thing: is people losing their shit about you wasted your vote voting for a small party because the ANC or the DA could lose the Western Cape and stuff. I said, there's no freaking chance.
The most the ANC and EFF together, absolute most they could get together would have been about 38-40%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the numbers right now.
Yeah, if you look at the numbers now, it would have been 32%.
So just because what they were trying to tell everybody, somehow they managed to spin it. If the DA drops below 50%, the ANC takes over.
Nonsense.
This is bullshit.
Yeah.
No, but that's if you think about it.
Then they just have to make a coalition with the ACDP
and EFF. Not the EFF, the Vryheidsfront.
Yeah.
And then because the ACDP don't govern with the ANC.
Well, this is the whole thing, Russell. This is the logic behind South African voters. The average South African voters, and we spoke about this, about the episode where we spoke about voting for a small party. The average South African voter still believes that we live in a first-past-the-post political system. They still honestly believe that. They honestly, and truly believe that. Because they, this whole notion that that the DA is the only strong opposition to the ANC. And I'm like, if they were so strong,
we wouldn't be sitting in the position we are.
No, if they were so strong, such strong opposition to the ANC, what does opposition mean? It means you oppose them.
Yeah.
So you would then outright be opposing expropriation without compensation.
Well,
you'd be opposing all of those things, not supporting them.
Well, it's not that they don't oppose.
They don't really.
But they're not. They put it this way, all right. There's just too much niceness about it.
Russell, they haven't taken a strong stance against EWC.
They haven't taken a strong. There's too much, all right. Like I said earlier on, there's too much pragmatism. I don't like pragmatists. All right, there's a way of being pragmatic. Like Donald Trump is the way he does it in the art of the deal way. That's you make an outrageous statement. We're going to do this. This is absolutely nonsense. You make a huge scene. You agitate this and then you bring like the light version to get something passed. You get what I'm saying? That's a good pragmatism. But going in low and then even being forced lower is just That's not deal making.
Yeah, that whole let's have a conversation.
No, that's
let's
out.
have a conversation.
Yeah,
bullshit.
That's not the art of the deal.
But that's in the current structure of the DA. That's how they operate.
That's how they operate. Yeah.
I mean, the only thing they really seem to stand for in this election as an opposition party is we oppose corruption.
All right, wow.
Who? Okay, but that's not a platform, really.
Well, I mean,
I honestly can't think of one thing that I heard this election cycle where the DA is like, stand for this. This is what we want. This is what we're against. Get behind us. Basically, it's keep the ANC and EFF out of the Western Cape, and corruption's bad.
And we're the strong opposition.
We
need a strong opposition.
Worthless.
No. What we need is a totally different outlook. Completely different outlook.
Yeah.
So, that being said, small but impressive victory for me was, let me just get onto the National Assembly. Small, but it wasn't really impressive Russell, turn your phone off.
I don't know what.
You got to unlock your phone.
No, but I mean,
pause it.
It played when it was off. It was kind of weird. Anyways,
weird. I'm trying to get back to my election results here.
At least it didn't play any weird sounds. At least I heard Holy Spirit in there. So that's
proper.
You won't find anything else.
Okay. So listen, Russell. Small, but I mean, it's not really impressive. I kind of knew it was going to happen. Good. I mean, they did pretty well.
They did
good. Little Auntie Pat's thing, but she was basically she literally didn't have to do anything. She knew she was guaranteed a seat in Parliament and 70,000 votes because she's Patricia Little. She has 40 years of experience, and Cape Townians love her.
And she's a political mercenary.
Yeah, she's a political mercenary. She's a professional bureaucrat, and for her, this is a walk in the park. To get 70,000 votes is, but it is a small win for her. Okay, for me, one of the most impressive wins, apart from them being liberal degenerates, is the ZACP. 15,915 votes. The most impressive part about the ZACP is that they did that in 7 weeks. That is impressive.
With only a social media campaign.
With only a social media campaign. I mean, they did do mild sort of things where they did that thing where they had the homeless people on the side of the roads wearing their posters and all that. That is, that's an interesting look at campaigning and all of that, and it clearly worked. So, this whole notion that social media isn't a good platform to campaign on is absolute nonsense. I mean, Bolsonaro in Brazil ran most of his campaign on social media and YouTube. So, I mean, guys like Ronaldo come and say things like, you'll never be able to campaign on social media. And I told you guys social media wasn't a good way to campaign. I'm like, well 15,900 people believe otherwise.
Well, look, I mean, the thing is, there is some truth. Look, you cannot not campaign on social media. There's no true about that. All right, that's 100% right. But you also do need boots on the ground.
Absolutely.
And you do need that is one of the things that has actually got the EFF a lot of traction because look at the EFF has done. They've had a get together in every major city. They had one in Durban, they had one in Cape Town, up in Joburg, and maybe somewhere else as well. They had 3 or 4 opportunities to really bring crowds in, and maybe it was even rent a crowd, but they created a hype. They got boots on the ground, and it was quite impressive how they, even though they do have a social media presence, they used a lot of their boots on the ground to get people to hear the message.
Sure, I get that, but the thing with the ZACP is they weren't allowed to put boots on the ground because they had no boots. So they had to start somewhere.
10 people.
They had nothing. So they basically, what they've done now, which is smart, what they've done is they've campaigned on social media. Now they've built themselves a very strong base of just under 16,000 people. They've voted for them. There's probably a good 20,000 people out there that support them. Like I'm a guy, I didn't vote for the ZACP, but I do support them. And they've built themselves a base. I do predict a smashing performance in the next elections by the ZACP.
They can get if they get over the line more than 50,000, 60,000, they can get over the line.
I think that's almost an inevitability, Russell. If you look at the statistics, 7 weeks, 15,915 votes. In 5 years, they can more than quadruple that easily.
Particularly if they become a sort of
a movement,
an agitator.
Yeah, they need to agitate. They need to actually agitate. I mean, that's one of the advantages of
reverse Malema.
One of the advantages of Ramon is he's not actually a politician, and he's a good agitator. I mean, he made his name for himself as a Twitter troll. So he needs to just bring his Twitter trollness into the political sphere.
High level Twitter trollery. The one thing about social media in South Africa specifically, I think it's a great idea. But just due to the infrastructure and the amount of people who have access, who use the internet, who have lines and whatnot, I think there's sort of a ceiling on the amount of people you can get. So it's important, and I think this was a very good way to sort of get that base, get that that initial support that they're going to need to propel them to greater things in the future.
Well, you got to understand is I think the ZACP know very well that they have a ceiling, because they don't particularly want to pander to voters. What they want is they want a very specific voter. So that's why Roman and stuff is always going on about, if you don't want to vote for us, don't vote for us. If you don't believe that we support your feelings or your views or whatever it is, don't vote for us.
Yeah,
so I think they're well aware of the fact that they do have a ceiling, and that they more than likely will never run this country. But what they do want is, and I've said this from the beginning, from when we did that episode on the small parties, is the ZACP just wants to get into parliament so that they can stir up as much shit as possible, which is great. We need those kind of agitators to basically get in there and to show up the bureaucracy fat cattery that's going on in parliament.
Be like a sort of Farage, or that one Polish guy in the European Parliament, just there, just like starting shit. They exist solely to just criticize the system they're part of.
Well, this is the thing: is we need, in South Africa, we need tons of agitators. We need oaks that are there that are going to stir and cause untold shit.
Well, why should Julius Malema and Andile and Tama be the only ones?
Yeah, exactly.
What makes them so amazing?
Exactly.
Speaking of Andile, talking about big losers for the
the amount of traction. For the amount of
how long have they
got.
been around?
At least
a couple of years.
No, 2-3 years. I think that this is definitely their first elections.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, with the amount of media coverage that they get. I mean, BLF as a party, so Black First, Land First, for the listeners that don't know about BLF, these guys have had so much media coverage.
Unbelievable.
I mean, more media coverage than the DA and the ANC.
Yeah.
They've been all over the media. They've been on every news channel all the time, shoved down everyone's throat. And they managed to get a measly 19,796 votes. I mean, that is
over
just
3
shameful.
years or so.
Absolutely shameful.
I mean, ZACP is just on their heels with nothing, so...
In 6 weeks.
I mean, the amount of track, even, like I said, I mean,
I do, however, think that the BLF will start getting more traction, because I'm not confident on the ANC doing anything more than what they've always done. So the BLF will be able to sort of steal voters from the ANC eventually.
Well, look, I disagree. I don't think the BLF can grow.
Yeah, because I think the appeal that they have is already owned by the EFF.
Correct. So why would you vote? Why would you vote Black First, Land First if you can just vote EFF?
Yeah, they're already winners.
Well, I think it's because
back a winner.
I think it's because BLF is extreme,
even more abrasive than the EFF.
I think so. So that then you get your two different types of people: your extreme racists and your mild, gentle racists. You know what I mean? So the BLF is. Russell, remember we spoke about taking a strong stand and that sort of thing. And African culture, they appreciate that. They appreciate if you take a strong stand for what you believe in. Okay?
Whatever it may be.
So the stronger the stance, the more they're going to respect you. This is the truth. The stronger the stance, the more they're going to respect you. So I think a guy like Andile, who is very sort of steadfast in his racism,
frankly,
he will be able to attract more voters. I honestly do.
Or be invited back into the EFF. You never know. He's from the EFF.
True. But if he does get invited, then we're in for a bit of a roller coaster ride.
If I was the EFF, if I was going to be a good to add a little bit more vigor, not to say that they don't have any vigor, I wouldn't mind inviting Andile back.
That's dangerous.
No, I'm just thinking, if I'm the EFF, I need, at the moment, there's only really Julius and Floyd, but we need Andile, but he was kicked out of the EFF. That's the problem. He didn't leave the EFF, he was kicked out.
So something that's also a little bit concerning is this Al Jama party.
They're increasing their votes, eh?
Big time. Al Jama
Al Jama'ah. They're the ones that want to have Sharia law, literally.
Yeah, literally Sharia law. Okay, so let me show you these numbers. Okay, so
They're just outside a seat.
yeah, just outside a seat in National Assembly. Western Cape, they smashed 17,600 votes. And 17, and every year they were, so every year, so 2009 they were up, 2014 they went up, and I'm assuming now they're up as well. So every year they're increasing. That's a little bit dodgy.
They're the ones. They actually want a proper, full-blown, blooming Sharia law for this country.
Yes, that's insanity. Yeah.
They had outside of my wife's polling station, they had a little tent set up in Mitchell's Plain. I was like, hey, there's those guys. Al Jama'ah, there we are.
Al Jama'ah, yeah.
I was joking. I'm like, hey, Lawrence, you want to vote for those guys?
So, okay, so ANC wins with an overall. What I want to do is I want to talk a little bit more about the Western Cape, guys, because this is our home province, and it's very important to us to talk about that.
Just quickly, that's one of the things that we haven't covered yet. Before we get to that, just 2 minutes on voter turnout is 66%.
Oh, shameful.
The lowest ever, 8% down on the previous year.
You said 66?
66%.
So registered population is 26,779,000. Okay, of that, the total valid votes was only 17,436,000. There were 235,000 spoiled votes.
Okay, that would be the fifth or sixth largest party.
Yeah. So we were speaking about this. What the turnout was in the 2009 elections.
Well, 99 or 2004 elections, we had like 75% turnout.
No, in 1999.
In 99, yeah, I got it right here. So in 99, voter turnout, according to this article from News 24, was almost 90% in 1999. 2004, it was 76. In 2009, it was 77. 2014 was about 74.5, and now it's cratered to
65.99. So 66%.
So down about 8% since last.
Is that? Do you reckon those numbers are completely because of disenfranchised voters?
Well, basically, I mean, the thing is, a lot of it is voters that have never voted, or will have voted previously but aren't voting. Right? They don't see the idea behind democracy that you can replace whoever's in power with somebody else and it's got a chance of improving. They obviously don't believe that. Otherwise, they would vote.
What are you saying? They don't believe in democracy, Russell?
Yeah, well,
how dare you?
No, not everybody believes
in
democracy.
How dare you? I mean, that's just...
that's...
that's racist.
That's,
John Stossel over here. That's great.
Yeah, well, look, I mean...
How dare you?
But I mean, the thing is... I estimate if you take these spoiled votes, disenfranchised voters, there's a voting block of anything between 3 and 4 million people that are eligible to vote, that probably have voted before but aren't voting. And nobody is actually targeting that group as to why they are not voting. All right, what is it that no one has actually bothered? They're just looking at the percentages.
Well, I think it's always been like that, and it will always be a thing like that in a democracy, is a fight for voters. Because you know that those voters are the ones that are going to put you in power, so you have a vested interest in targeting those specific voters.
The thing is, the DA's votes are 3.6 million, right? I'm saying between 3 and 4 million in the country, all right, are disenfranchised voters that have previously voted, that have been part of it, that aren't voting.
Well, there's potentially up to 9 million of them.
I'm being conservative on about a 75%. Sort of turnout, plus the spoiled votes, and that's right, being conservative. So there's a good between 3 and 4 million votes that are actually lost not only to the elections, but actually lost to the political parties, simply because a political party, their drive is not numbers, their drive is just percentages. That's what gets them seats and jobs and cushy benefits. So So they're not even. No one's even. You watch the news, all right? How many people are talking about the 3-4 million people that are not? They don't know who to vote for. And even, look, the EFF has probably picked up a little bit of those votes, admittedly, but not even that many because they've just taken it from the ANC. So even the EFF is actually, if you look at these percentages and stats, all right, basically the votes lost by the ANC have basically gone to the EFF. So even the EFF isn't even attracting those votes.
Right. No, I think you're exactly right, Russell. I think the growth that the EFF has seen has mostly been cannibalizing the ANC's vote.
Mostly. They might pick up a little bit of those voters that would rather not vote, but they voted EFF,
Russell, I want to go down an interesting little pathway here because we've gone through the numbers, we've gone through the wins, we've gone through the losers. DA by far the biggest loser. ANC is also a loser. They keep power as usual. But I want to go down a different path. I want to go down why people are voting the way they are voting. Okay. Now, Big Daddy Liberty did a very good show where he went and he stood outside voting stations and he asked people, what's the most important thing to you for a party that you vote for them to represent. And there were 3 things that stood out of all of them. I mean, some people, said silly things and stuff, but there's 3 things that stood out. Christian values, drugs, and employment.
Jobs crisis is a big one. Yeah. In actual fact, employment wasn't actually a major talking point in the media. It was just hype and loudmouthery and basically, if you look at even the EFF aren't that big into,
here's how we're going to grow the economy.
No, they don't, because they got no real offerings. It's so strange that if you had to ask the OECD's index of freedom, how far of economic freedom that they bring out and match them to the EFF's policies, they've come stone last. You know what I mean? So there's no economic freedom with the EFF. They should actually change their name, right? Do something else. I don't know.
EOF, economic oppression fighters.
Or like the African Initiative Front or something like that. Something or the I don't know.
Something revolutionary.
Something more revolutionary.
Yeah. So, but I mean, Russell, what I'm talking about is, why people vote the way that they vote, and what a lot of political parties, the reasons why a lot of political parties think that voters will vote for them. So, like I said, values. I mean, Christian values, drugs, and employment. We know that in the poorer communities and stuff all around South Africa, they're getting ravaged by drugs, especially
it's not just drugs, it's just gangsterism and crime.
Gangsterism
and
crime,
overall crime.
All of that, yeah. And then, obviously, employment. So this boils down to that, is it Maslow's hierarchy of needs? This notion, this sort of liberal notion that freedom is the most important thing to individuals and to people and stuff, which
not to the basic South African. No.
Not to the basic South African. The whole notion that
to us it is. To us it is, because we can actualize things.
Yeah.
We're at a level where we can actualize ourselves, our surroundings, our future, and all this sort of thing. The guys struggling to eke out an existence here in Dunoon, freedoms and democratic rights are essentially lost in them. To put it bluntly.
No, you're right. Absolutely. So that's the point and stuff. But okay, so I want to talk about. Can I talk about the provincial stuff, Russell?
Yeah, let's do the provincial.
So I want to talk about the Western Cape.
I want to pull up their figures now.
And here we go. Look at this. This is shameful, huh? Yes. Look at this DA and how they have. Okay, so 2014 Western Cape, they got 59.38%. Big votes, 59.38%. This year, this election, weak 55.45%, which clearly means that the DA is on the decline in the Western Cape. People are fed up. The ANC also dropped, actually, from 32% to 28%.
They got cannibalized by the EFF.
Yeah. And here we go, the EFF jumping up 2 percentage points to just over 4% from a meek and weak 2.11%.
Good Party got 3.
Yeah, Good Party got 3. Pretty much apart from.
Are you looking at the provincial ballot or the
provincial?
The provincial or the national ballot?
Provincial.
Provincial.
Okay, let me just have a look at the provincial.
Yes, okay.
Because they're not the same thing. Just look it up.
So what have you got there, Russell, for the Western Cape?
Okay, yeah, I've got the. I was looking at the national results here, but yeah, this is the provincial.
So DA at 55.44%. So that's and then the Good Party. I think the Good Party nationally got 70,000 votes and stuff.
Yeah,
so
all from the West.
All from the West.
So a whopping 61,971 from the Western Cape, and the rest of the votes were probably like ex-Cape Townians living in PE or something, you know.
I still put it this way, man. I cannot fathom the popularity of Patricia de Lille. I am a little bit perplexed about how you can support such a lame.
I'll tell you
woman
why.
like
I'll
that.
tell you why, Russell. Can I tell you why? Because she's a family and a household name within the coloured communities and stuff in the Western Cape.
That is true, 100%. But what name does she have?
Auntie Pat.
Okay, Auntie Pat.
People love her.
Yeah.
I promise you, I swear, Russell, I swear that the first votes that came through while they were counting votes were the votes from Mitchell's Plain. Because flippin' Good was like on the top, bro. Within the first few hours, Good was like right there on the top. Bro. I'm confident that the first votes that they counted were in Mitchell's Plain.
Well, she is a political mercenary of
an absolute political mercenary. So what I want to talk to you guys about is my boys, Jack Miller, and them at the Cape Party.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure that, I can't find their results from 2014 on Russell. Do you have?
I'm only looking at the current results. Yeah.
Because I don't have the results from 2014 and I can't seem to find their results. But anyway, they from what I remember is that the Cape Party in the last national elections didn't even get 4,000 votes.
Well, look, I remember I spoke to their first campaign. Their very first year of campaigning was the 2011 municipal elections. And I think for the whole of the city Cape Town, they got 50 votes or something.
Yeah.
I kid you not.
Yeah.
I spoke to some people, so some of them even were at a voting party where they all voted, and they even went on there to cheer their vote. One vote came and they went, yay!
One vote.
I've spoken to the guys about it.
So here's the thing: is they got 9,331, which is 0.45%. Which look. Oh, yeah, here we go. 2019.
2009.
So 2009, they got 0.13%, which is near nothing. So let's do comparisons. That would have given them about 2,600 votes, more or less.
Yeah, they've got 2,600. I've got the figures here. Now they've got 9,324 votes.
Yeah, you see? So that just shows you that the Cape Party is on the move. They are growing. And here's the thing, Russell. The DA lost, the Cape Party grew. The Cape Party is a winner, DA is still the losers. Again, so nationally and locally, DA are, without a doubt, the big losers. Wouldn't you agree, Russell? You want to take your eyes from your phone?
I totally.
Yeah, I'm looking at the figures here, Scott.
Oh, okay.
I'm watching the figures. I'm not playing.
I
totally agree.
I thought you were going on Facebook and trolling the ZACP's Facebook page.
No, I'm not going to waste time. I'm not interested in. I'm done. With it.
No. So EFF did well, Western Cape. again, the EFF is winners in pretty much every province, and the DA is losing. Now let's go to Gauteng, because I think that's an important one. The DA, 2014, they got 30.78%. 27.5% drop. So they fraught. The ANC, they dropped about 3 percentage points.
They just held on to the majority.
Yeah, you see, there again, there's a big difference between the provincial and national. Eh?
Yeah, the ANC right now, what are they at? 50.
Yeah.
0.2, basically.
Russell?
Mm.
On Gauteng. You're on Gauteng.
Yeah, I'm on Gauteng provincial. If you look at there's also a big difference between Gauteng provincial and Gauteng national, just like the Western Cape.
Mm. So people are voting differently provincially compared to national. Do you think that has to do with service delivery and stuff like that?
Yeah, so in other words, they voted here for service delivery of the DA, but might have voted ANC on the national ballot.
Yeah.
If you line up the two, like the two percentages, it would appear that way.
Yeah, that's definitely what happened there.
Yeah.
I think what people are obsessed with is service and delivery. It's like you said, Adam.
Yeah.
Service and delivery. They think the DA is like your service and delivery party. How bad? What a poor state of affairs, Russell, when you as a political party is known for doing what you're supposed to do.
You pick up my trash. Okay.
Pick up my trash. You send me bills on time. Wow. Amazing, eh? Outstanding service and delivery. So that's the Gauteng province things. Again, EFF is the winner. EFF 2014, 10.30%. This year, 14.69%. So
yeah, it mirrors their overall increase quite nicely.
I think you'll see across
Gauteng mirrors the national things quite nicely, actually.
Yeah, I think you'll see that on all of the across all the provinces that the EFF is and has done pretty damn well. I'd say very, very, very well.
Yeah, they seem to be in ascendancy, that's for sure.
Yeah, Russell, anything else you want to talk about?
Not really. No, that's pretty much it.
I do think that
they also had quite a low voter turnout in Gauteng, only 68% for an urban area. That's very low.
Yeah,
very, very low for an urban area.
68.28%.
Very, very low for an urban area.
That's very low.
I thought they would be Cape Town. So it's also still pretty high. Cape Town, Western Cape,
66%. That's poor.
What, Western Cape? Yeah, it's also even worse.
It's poor.
So it's also poor in Western Cape. I just happened to see Gauteng's only 68%.
Jeez, look at the Eastern Cape, 59.51%.
Jeez, like it.
But don't worry,
it's
because of what Ronaldo said. It's because it was raining. It's because of the weather that there was low turnout.
All right.
So I don't believe that. I believe that there's a lot of voters out there that are disenfranchised. They are at a position where they are.
They're not buying the bullshit anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and there's no sort of party out there that. And here's the thing, okay, is political parties need to realize this. They need to realize that there's an abundance of disenfranchised voters. The first political party to catch on to this and to start actively campaigning and targeting those voters is the party that is going to gain massive seats in parliament next elections.
Well, I think EFF is one maybe some political savvy. They are trying it. They're not really. If I look at the numbers, they're not really gathering those guys. Oh, with Kit Kat. They're not really gathering them either. So the EFF is trying. They're not even really making inroads there.
Yeah, the EFF, although the EFF is not very... Okay, the EFF is probably not very competent at anything.
Yeah.
Okay? Apart from,
shouting their mouths
off and stuff. So, oh, God, get down.
We'll just edit that out, all right?
Otherwise, run wild. So I think that the EFF is not competent at doing anything, okay? And I don't think that the EFF is going to be able to target those voters competently.
No.
But that's what we need, is we need a party that's able to target those parties or those disenfranchised voters. Once we get that and you get someone that's competent at it, then I think it'll go well. What do you think, Picasso?
Did Picasso just say Zeke Heil?
Did he just do a Zeke Heil?
No, I think what you were talking about earlier when you mentioned CQA, Big Day of Liberty, and what is talking with regular voters. I think what they told him was more or less mirrored of what the IRR opinion polling is for South Africans, what they want to see. They care about jobs, they want better education, they want to crack down on crime, drugs, and they don't particularly like immigration. Mm-hmm. So that, and of all the parties that are operating right now, none of them are addressing any of those issues. Really,
it's quite astounding. It's quite astounding that it's not on the table.
Yes, I mean there's no.
Look. You take DA does talk about jobs more than the other ones, right? They do pay a lot, but DA won't touch the immigration thing really. DA won't touch the crime thing really. No, in actual fact, none of the parties touch the crime thing.
No,
not one.
And that's what people are really pissed off about. So all the things except, I mean, the DA issue is the job thing and kind of a lame, it's not as ham-handed as it needs to be. And the other issues no one's talking about. So if you were able to get a political party, as we were talking about earlier, sort of a right-wing populist Bolsonaro, sort of a black Trump or a Duterte sort of character who's like, look, no one, these are the issues you guys care about, and no one's addressed them. Who else is talking about safety? Who else is is going to put resources into dealing with the drug crisis? Who else is going to really have a coherent, thought out plan on getting the economy going? Who else is going to address your immigration concerns? No one's doing it. Well,
that's probably. This is now we've come to the crux of it and exactly why there's so many disenfranchised.
Or education, and that was another thing too. I mean, it would be and if you had like a character who didn't have this sort of egg-headed approach in addressing these issues to normal South Africans, and who kind of a sort of right-wing populist Trumpian sort of manner was like, look, so you hit all these hot-button issues first, and then you bring the education in and say, and schools suck. And I'm going to fix it.
Our schools have been destroyed.
Our schools have been destroyed, like real fire and brimstone, like hellfire preacher style.
Can you see a future for your children in our schools, kind of thing?
Yeah. Just real visceral, and people sort of know this intuitively. And then after you get them with the sort of emotional appeal, then you come in with, here's what I'm going to do to fix it. And then you can talk about charter schools, vouchers, whatever. But you gotta No one's talking about these issues, and the ones that aren't doing it in a way that resonates with all people.
No, 100%. And this is the whole nonsense that all of this ridiculousness.
Man. To a lesser extent, Farage in the UK.
Cheers, Russell. Refreshment break.
Beer break.
The cat knocked over the camera. Naughty little shit. So, okay. Results. EFF smashes the elections and stuff. DA tanks. ANC again.
They made a pass.
They made a pass mark, but again a bit of a putrid performance by them as well.
C's get degrees.
Yeah, C's get degrees.
They got over the line.
But here's the thing. Okay, is the EFF by far the biggest winner. And then you get an oak like Ronaldo that gets on his channel and says things like, populism is dead.
The only people who had big gains this election were populists.
Yes.
Namely the EFF. And the only
EFF,
ones...
Freedom Front Plus, all of them.
Yeah. And Freedom Front Plus, they weren't necessarily populist, but at least the disenfranchised DA voters, who else were they going to vote for, really?
Who else were they going to vote for?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So I think that was more of a protest vote than anything else.
So the EFF, I mean, BLF, they got some votes as well. They're definitely populist. And then the EFF, by far the biggest winner at this election.
They cleaned up.
And they basically ran their entire campaign on populism.
Yeah, land, getting even with Whitey.
So this is the whole notion that populism is dead and all that is utter horseshit.
Yeah.
It's bigger now than it's ever been. And it's not only a South African thing, it's an international thing.
The one thing, like we were saying before we were interrupted by Picasso, was
the other one.
The degree to which parties with sound ideas are willing to engage in populism doesn't exist in South Africa yet. So you don't have a sort of a right-wing dilemma,
No,
you know?
no.
And I think that would be, I would love to see that.
A Duerte kind of.
Yeah, a Duterte.
A real son of a bitch kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Some guy who will make the trains
But,
run.
I mean, but if you look at somebody like that, your average Joe sitting here in the noon, who actually or out there.
So, guys, we've spoken about the elections, the results, populism, all of that. What's next? What's coming next? What's the next elections? What's the story?
Okay. Well, look, I'll go first. Let's just look. ANC will be ANC. Look, let's just. I don't know what's going to happen there, but let's just look at opposition.
The Eternal Liberation Party.
Right. Yeah. Well, look. I mean, the thing is, let's just look at the opposition parties. Let's have a look at the DA. If they don't fix what they've started, what has evidently started to unfold within the DA, if they don't fix it, become more clear cut, not all wishy washy, start nailing their colours to the mast, all these sorts of things, they're going to hemorrhage even more votes.
Absolutely.
Right? It's going to get worse, not better. All right. So they need to regroup and regroup fast. Okay. They then need to obviously do a lot of groundwork, etc., to regain some votes. The other guys, the EFF, I don't know, good growth to now. I don't know what more they can actually really offer other than just more of the same. I don't think they're not picking up those voters we spoke about that aren't voting. They're picking up ANC voters, which ties in with what a lot of people have told me. Most EFF supporters vote EFF because they're not the ANC. So but having said that, I don't know what else they can really do.
Yeah, they don't have much more else to offer.
They don't have
Their value proposition sucks.
Yeah, and it's not anything. And also, there's also internal strife within the EFF as well. I don't know how much longer the power structures can actually hold out. Malema's got a hard hand, but
it'll be
internally. I think there's problem. That type of party is going to run into problems.
Googly-eyed Floyd Shabambo is going to want to come and
not just. It's basically just Malema and Floyd, Julius and Floyd. Mm. The rest, Lawsy is just a carbon cutout character, all right? And the rest are really nothing of anything, and they just nothing.
Yeah, but Shabambo is going to get a bit hurtful and stuff. He's going to want to...
There's problems within the EFF. They can't even have an elective conference without Malema being escorted out of with armed security.
Yeah.
So... that's another thing. I don't know what the EFF going forward. Other smaller parties, Freedom Fund, they, I think they need to. These extra votes have fallen in their lap, actually, without any campaign. Now, what they need to do is they still need to hold their line. They still need to the voters that have come across to them. Basically, they've got to say, well, you come across for this. We gave you clearly. We're going to maintain this mandate.
Yeah.
Unashamedly, unapologetically, no pragmatism, no deal making.
Well, they have you see, this is the whole thing, Russell, is that voters don't understand is that when you vote for a party, you give that party a mandate based on their policies.
Correct.
If that party does not stick to that mandate,
they've hoard you out.
They've hoard you out to another party, which means that I'm not going to vote for you again.
That's the way it's supposed to work.
And that's how the DA has done it. That's exactly what the DA has been doing for years now.
Mm.
They voted for people. They gave those voters, or the voters gave them a mandate based on their policies, and these were their policies, and they flaked all over the place.
Yeah.
So what happens when that happens? You vote for another party.
Yeah. And then IFP, I think potentially they've got to get a bunch of youngsters in there and sort out and really agitate there and work hard. I believe that they can we need to bring back Zulu nationalism, bring back Zulu nationalism and revive the IFP. And then after that, who have we got after that? That would be after that the ACDP. ACDP also votes.
ACDP.
Yeah, the low energy
ACDP.
Low energy ACDP.
Low energy
They
ACDP.
are. They also had votes fall into their lap, but they flip flopped so badly the last year. They got to stop that. They got to also. Their major party member, who was the pragmatist, Cheryl and Dudley, is no longer there. Problem is, there's still a lot of other pragmatists in there. They got a fakey mentor from the ANC has joined them. So it's much of the same political class. There's no, and there'll be one other person, which I think is I know who he is.
It's just bureaucrats.
It's just
playing
more
musical
bureaucrats.
musical chairs.
I don't think they can hold those votes, to be completely honest, unless they also do like the Freedom Front says, you voted for us on this. We are not negotiating. We are not doing anything. We'll go into the working committees in Parliament and we will present a case, and that's it. You know what I mean? We don't want to... No, you scratch my. There's been too much of that from these guys like the ACDP and all that sort of thing over the years. So yeah, those are all the parties pretty much. I don't think there's anything else worth mentioning.
There's nothing else really.
Yeah, that's my take on it.
D-Dog.
Yeah, well, ANC, I think one of two things will happen with them. I think either they will somehow manage to peter along and maintain the majority next election. If things get worse, though, and if people get pissed off enough, they'll either vote for EFF, which I hope they don't do, or they'll just
not vote.
They'll just not vote. So next election, ANC, it's conceivable, and particularly if there's in the next 5 years, if there's a big international financial crisis that particularly hits South Africa hard, I think people, rightly or wrongly, will blame the ANC for that, and it's going to bite them in the ass. Because they're
we're due for a financial crisis.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. So if economic conditions get even worse in South Africa than they already are,
when economic conditions get worse,
yes, then I think that's probably when they lose a majority. What happens after that? Coalition deal making, the EFF will probably step in as the kingmaker in that situation. I don't see the EFF growing much bigger than they already are, unless again they cannibalize some of the ANC votes. But I think even most people who were ANC voters and don't vote for them next time, I think most of them probably actually won't vote for the EFF, just because, like I said, that sort of radical, militant leftism doesn't particularly appeal to a lot of people in South Africa.
That's true.
DA, I think they'll either hold the line or even lose some votes if they basically pull the nonsense they did this year. If they actually get their act together and have a clear, coherent message, they might see some growth. Freedom Front Plus, I think if they should, I would like to see them look at this as an opportunity to say, wow, people vested some of their trust in us, and then try to use that to get a bit more populist, hopefully try and drum up some more votes. So if they try to capitalize on this victory for them, which it is, then we can see some more growth from them. I think that'd be a good thing. ACDP, it's just kind of like what you guys said. And I would think for a South African Christian party, it would be real easy for them to have some member of parliament railing against drugs or something. That would be easy. That'd be an easy sell. But for some reason, they don't do it. And so, I don't know. I guess that's sort of my take.
Low energy. That's why we call it low energy.
Low energy.
So, my viewpoints are pretty much the same. I do see the ANC losing support later on as the years go by, because I don't see the ANC doing anything much more than what they're already doing, which is nothing. Pretty much the same with our friends at ANC Light. The DA, woeful performance. The DA, here's the thing, is the DA went from a nothing party to a strong opposition party under Tony Leon.
Tony Leon and later Helen Ziller. Mostly under Helen Ziller.
So the DA, every year, they went up. You can look at the statistics. 2004, they got 12.37%. 2009, 16.66%. And 2014, which was the last elections, they got 22%.
Almost a quarter of the electorate.
Yeah. So they did really well every year on year on year on. Okay. this year to 20.77%, which is
Backwards.
absolutely putrid. Because if you think about it, how the ANC has been performing specifically from 2014 till now.
Mm.
I mean,
It should have been their heyday.
So from 2008 to sort of 2012 and stuff, the ANC didn't do too bad, actually. I mean, if you look at from an economic perspective and stuff, the country was doing all right, not that bad.
On the up and up.
Yeah. So and the DA still gained votes against the ANC in those elections. Now the ANC is an absolute wank of a party, and they can't gain votes against it.
Mm.
Because the sole reason is that they're not taking a strong stance against the ANC as an opposition. They're not a strong opposition. They're a lame duck opposition.
They have no ideas. It's almost like they have no ideas of their own.
I see the DA, unless they don't do some serious restructuring or some serious internal restructuring, I see them tanking to maybe 16% or something in the next elections. Back where they were in 2019. 2009. So that would be about 15 years wasted, flushed down the toilet for the DA, just because of them wanting to pander to ANC voters to take their voters. EFF, I think they do have a little bit of space to grow. I mean, I might disagree with you guys a little bit there. I think they do have a good sort of maybe another 2 percentage points, sort of in the sort of 2.5 million percent or 2.5 million voters that can vote for the EFF. I do believe that they are going to keep growing as they go along. IFP, I'm all for them. Like you said, I want to see this sort of. I'd rather have things like Zulu nationalism than the rhetoric of the EFF.
Yeah. Yes.
So I'm all behind the IFP, and the same thing is I'm behind Freedom Front Plus. But again, I want to see Freedom Front Plus, like you guys said, I want to see them maintain their mandate.
Mm.
I want to see that. I want to see
what you got with them.
I want to see the Freedom Front Plus show the DA how to be an opposition party.
Mm.
That's what I want to see. I want to see the Freedom Front stand up in Parliament and say, you know what? Excuse my French. Fuck you, Oaks. You're not going to take us for a walk. We're going to keep our vote, and we're going to maintain our mandate for our voters that put us in this place.
Mm. Mm.
I think that they probably will. I think there's going to be an interesting thing about the Freedom Front Plus is I do think there's going to be a lot of young talent coming through them with regards to Parliament, members of Parliament and stuff. Because now they've got to find another 6 or so.
It's on the party list. So there are some youngsters. Willem Petzer on his show was saying that there are about 2 or 3 youngsters coming on board now, young 35-year-olds coming on board now.
They're going to need to find how many more members now? 6.
Yeah.
6 new members of Parliament.
So there's a couple of youngsters coming through.
Yeah. So ACDP don't really want to get involved in them. They're not my idea of a Christian party, but I personally, like I said, I think that what's his name? The leader, is it Mashoy?
Yeah, Kenneth Mashoy.
He needs to give up the reins over there and leave.
Low energy.
Yeah, I do think that what we are going to see a lot of, and we are going to be hearing a lot of it, specifically in our circles, is the ZACP. We are going to be seeing and hearing a lot of them. You see, the whole thing is that they've got a lot of young collegiate types that can sort of. Well, I mean, it's.
Let's be honest.
And good memers.
Yeah, excellent meme strategy.
The
best. They're going to win this elections with
dankest of memes.
Yeah, dankest of memes. Battle memes.
So they're going to go to meme war.
Yeah, they're gonna
all quiet on the meme front.
Yeah, meme jihad and stuff.
Meme hard.
So, but I think they will. I think we will be seeing a lot of them. I think I'm most impressed by their
I wouldn't be surprised if they got a seat next time.
Yeah.
5 years with the energy they had this time.
Yeah, I think they will get a seat
with
in
the
Parliament next election. So I think that's it, guys. I think we've done this. I think we've been going on for a little bit more than an hour. So thank you so much, listeners, for listening.
Yeah, guys.
This is our first show that we've ever recorded with the 3 of us together. And we will be doing more of these in the future. Something that some people are going to be mentioning. Russell, is, and I don't want to get into it now because this will be a whole entire episode on its own, is how these results are now going to impact EWC. I don't want to get into it. We're not going to talk about it now because that will be another road to go
It'll be a
down.
whole nother show.
But a lot of people are going to be saying, well, why didn't you talk about EWC and all that?
Mm.
We're getting there. We're on here, you see. One step ahead.
It's in the background. We're
It's
not
in the
unaware of
background,
it.
fellas.
I don't think we're all golf and
yeah.
everything that we haven't.
Don't think because we're conservatives that we're stupid, you know. No, I'm not really a conservative. We are
Reactionaries.
So, thank you everyone for listening. It's been a fantastic episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was lovely
Awesome.
chatting. We've got some more beers to drink. Thank you very much for hanging out with us,
Cheers,
guys. Remember to like the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the Facebook page, and if you have any comments, just leave them down below in the comments section. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Stay reactionary out there because
God wills
it.
it.